divine intelligence that we are one with. To feel that contagion of joy. I invite you to become aware of your energy body, the law of creation, how the divine mind brings things into form. From an invisible, inaudible, intangible to the visible, audible, tangible. And so we sync and link with the law of creation. We capture the divine idea. We feel the energy of chi, prana, life force. The energy, the omni-activity of God. That is precise, that is perfect. Never tainted, and always vibrant. And on your next inhalation, I invite you to inhale and draw the energy all the way down to your earth star, your 10th chakra, which is at the south pole of your energy field. If you were standing, you notice it about a meter, maybe 4 or 5 feet beneath the bottoms of your feet. I invite you to inhale the energy of peace all the way down to your earth star, your 10th chakra. It's where the roots of the tree nourish that they may flourish and blossom the fruits. So we bring that energy of life force, of brilliance, of beauty, the energy of the soul, that there is no separation between the visible and the invisible. No separation between the inaudible and the audible. I invite you to inhale the energy of prosperity and joy all the way down through your crown, your heart, to your earth star. You notice that the breath begins to cycle and that your entire energy field begins to grow and glow. As vitality and beauty and a contagion of joy expands. The next inhalation, bringing it all the way down to your earth star. Drawing the energy of radiant, perfect, divine right well-being. Physically, emotionally, mentally. Remembering that it is God's good pleasure. Bring forward the kingdom of heaven to, through, and as us, and we choose to participate. We feel the flowing, glowing energies of the eternal. We inhale and we bring down the energy of serenity, optimism, faith, all the way down through our crown heart to our earth star. As we ground these energies, we allow them to increase our divine energy quotient, to expand our bandwidth, to hold more good, more joy, more peace, more love, more wellness, more prosperity than ever before. We are simply cooperating with the divine, with the call of the soul. No efforting, no trying, just inviting, evoking, and allowing. We allow transmutation, transformation to enhance. Always and only in benevolent, beautiful ways. And I'm really grateful to know this is the nature of life, the nature of the universe, and whether we call it the Creator, the Great One, God, Jehovah, Allah, Elohim, Adonai, Yahweh, whatever we call the universal presence, it is love, and it's an omniamorous intelligence beyond our wildest dreams. Bliss begins to describe the nature of the divine. And that nature is our nature. For each and every one of us born from this light. Eternal beings of angelic light, we say yes to remembering the truth of who we really are. Beyond any of the incarnations or iterations, beyond any of the temporal aspects of our personality, beyond our gender, beyond our nationality, beyond our race or religious inflections, beyond our titles or labels, degrees or diplomas. And there's a divine spark that has never experienced harm, that has never experienced struggle or strife. It only radiates with the resplendent effervescence and phosphorescence of joy and beauty and bliss. We return home to this, and I'm grateful that each and every one of us has every ability, every talent, every gift, everything necessary to increase our capacity and to experience more good than ever before. We have followed the energy of creation. We have grounded it. We are allowing it to be. We're in the realm of free will. We must call it forward. We must invite it. And we must allow it. And we have done so and we do so. And in deep and abiding thanksgiving. We ground it so, claim it so. In deep and abiding divine receptivity, we allow it to be so. And we do so by saying, and so let it be. And so it is. Amen. And as we come back into a lucid state of divine awareness, as you open your eyes whenever you're ready, it's always good after meditation to just marinate a little bit. Let it actually alchemize and transform your DNA, your cells. And to ground it and balance it, if you take opposite hand, opposite knee, that can help. If it feels good to you, just takes the masculine and feminine hemispheres and helps integrate balance, the yin-yang aspect. So welcome back. If you're streaming in, we've just completed our meditation service. We're getting ready for our music and message. If you're here, either way, we're going to take a couple minutes to get ready for the service. If you need to use the restroom, now would be a really good time. And we will be starting with our regular service in just about a few minutes. So welcome back. And we will see you in a few.
These are for people who auto-charge, right? So if you auto-charge, put this in the restroom.
Oh, hi. Oh, yeah.
So cool. What did you bring today?
the voices will count. It won't interfere.
Well, I'm glad David texted. Right? It was my phone. I must be my phone.
uplift our lives in ways that, really improve and enhance and expand our experience. The two things are serving and tithing. The amount of the tithe doesn't matter. We're not out to get more money. We're out, I care that you all experience what that does to your life. It can be $1. It doesn't matter. But please do it, because it'll change you.
Or $1 million.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, it can be one, but it doesn't
And the other thing is serving, because that's the place you make these precious, lifelong relationships. And
Who in here has served at Soul Center and can attest to that?
lots of us, I know.
Who has experienced profoundly deep friendships within Soul Center? Because,
life-changing friendships. But that happens when we get together and work together and care about each other and support each other. So those two little things, if you can keep it in mind, we'd really appreciate it. We definitely need help, and we've said this all along in our IT department for live streaming. So anybody who's interested in that, we need to give a few people a break occasionally.
And Birgit is our volunteer coordinator, so please connect with
Yes,
her.
Birgit.
Yay, Birgit.
An amazing job, and it hasn't been, all that easy, because people's plans are up in the air a little bit week to week. So anyway, we thank you and honor you for that. And just wanted to remind everybody of our Enlightened Kids Village. It's such the perfect place to raise our children. So feel free to invite any kids you know or bring your own. And our teen group meets the first Sunday of every month, so that's this next Sunday. So we're excited to have our teens. This all came about because they wanted to do it, which is really cool. And we also have prayer chaplains available after service. They'll be on the tables outside the kids' room. And please send in any prayer requests that you have to info@soulcenteroc.com, because that's what we're here for, is to
The prayer chaplains have their own email address.
They do. Thank you. It's a different email. That's the one we used to use. Thank you for that. It's soulcenterocprayers@gmail.com, and it goes directly to them.
And that's on our website, right?
Yes. So please, they love to pray for you, and it really helps. I mean, I feel it immediately myself.
Little prayers, big prayers.
Prayers of joy,
Yes.
prayers of happiness.
It doesn't have to be it could be just a little thing. I'm a little nervous to go out to lunch with this person or whatever. I mean, anything. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful
Yeah,
program.
it is. And they're very committed. And I want to remind everybody of Reverend Keith's amazing daily affirmative prayer call on Facebook Live. It starts at 9:30 every day except Sundays. And it is hugely valuable for your day, and you can go back and watch it later in the day. But I really encourage people to take advantage of that.
And if you're not on Facebook, you can do it on Zoom.
Yeah, if you are on Facebook and want the Zoom credentials, you can email info@soulcenteroc.com, and that one is right. And our amazing Course in Miracles class on Tuesday nights with Akili Beckwith. We did have some new people sign up and join us last Tuesday after hearing Akili here, so that's really cool. And it's the kind of thing that you don't have to sign up for, you just come when you can. It's beautiful. And we do have one Course in Miracles book available if anybody's interested that was donated.
Oh,
So, just in case you are interested in that. And the butterflies that we're handing out are for those of you who are tithing online or auto-tithing, just to have something to put in the basket so you don't feel self-conscious or whatever, just passing it. So that's Angelina's project, and she's done a gorgeous job on that, so thank you very much. Sign up for our newsletter if you don't get it already. All of this is there. And we're going to move into our congregation song, which is I Release.
This is one of my favorite on Soul Center. So if you're feeling it, feel it.
feel it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm holy for God. Oh, struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Good morning, Susan. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Andrea LeClaire, and our reading this morning is from Agape's Inner Visions Daily Inspiration Guide. It's submitted by Greg Johnson, and it's entitled Love to Love. Love to Love. Love is our spiritual medication. Love is the power that heals us and allows us to live with such vigor. If we ever find ourselves sad, lonely, depressed, or angry, make sure to take our spiritual medication. Fall back in love with love. Love is all we need to thrive and be alive. Reignite our love affair to love. Love God. When we choose to love God, we open the floodgates of heaven above. By loving God, we open up to an endless reservoir of unconditional love that is pure, pristine, and powerful. We are God's instruments of love. We are vessels to pour forth a radiant love that is infinitely sourced by the eternal realm of spirit. By choosing to love God, we are opening the spiritual spout, and we flow like the divine river of love. Love self. To increase the divine flow of God's love through and as us, we must love ourselves. We cannot be dependent upon others to love us, as it is our responsibility to love self. When we love self, we are purifying and cleansing our minds, hearts, souls, and bodies. We are the containers of God's love. And when we love self, we are scrubbing away the muck of the world's negativity. Self-love allows us to shine so bright as the illuminating force of God's love. Let us pray. So grateful to be here with this lovely soul-centered community, this beautiful family. And knowing that we are here in the one light, one love, the one spirit, we are one in this divinity, the divinity that is perfect in all ways, eternally good, eternally great, and it is always active and always loving. We are one with this one. We can be nowhere but perfectly radiant, just as the one. This one beautiful life that we're living in this divine appointment that we're here. And in together, whether we are live, whether we're live stream, or whether we're watching the future, we are here in this one eternal pristine moment. We're here, the Word of God spoken in through and as Keith, Reverend Keith, who is perfectly prepared in his enthusiasm and his fun and his wit and his wisdom, so perfectly prepared to deliver his message for us, which we each one receives exactly as each one needs to hear. We are open to be these divine pristine channels, to be the flow, to let the river flow into and as us as love. Remember, for me, for all of us, that we were one in the one. So it is. So it is. And now it's time to do the agape affirmations as a call and response. I will speak a line, and then we'll all repeat it back together. I am aglow with the dynamic energy of pure spirit.
I am aglow with the dynamic energy of pure spirit.
The power of my sacred yes amplifies the God qualities within me.
The power of my sacred yes amplifies the God qualities within me.
Love is my inspiration, my conversation, and my life.
Love is my inspiration, my conversation, and my life.
Peace is my natural state and my holy charge.
Peace is my natural state and my holy charge.
Abundance is my divine right flowing to me and through me.
Abundance is my divine right flowing to me and through me.
Gratitude is my way of seeing and being.
Gratitude is my way of seeing and being.
I am a mighty force of God consciousness on this planet.
I am a mighty force of God consciousness on this planet.
And so it is, amen.
And so it is, amen.
So this first song that I want to sing for you guys today, I'm actually going to do it solo. I had a very different plan originally for it, and this morning realized that I didn't have half of my equipment for that plan, and you know what? That just means that this was meant to be today. And this song definitely wasn't chosen by accident. A very big thing, one of the big pillars in my life is if I have a challenge or adversity, I'm not going to get through it, I'm going to rise to it. And it's gotten me very far for myself personally, so I wanted to share that with you. This song is it's called Rise Up. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, rise like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Yeah. The silence isn't quiet. It feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet. Move mountains to its feet, yeah. Move mountains, and I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other, yeah. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise, oh, I'll rise up 10 times again, yeah. For you, for you, for you. Say that with me if you feel that for you. For you, for you, for you, for you.
you to our Sunday service. I'm seeing a couple new faces, so I want to welcome you into our fold. We are a spiritual community that birthed itself out of the Agape International Spiritual Center, which birthed itself out of the Science of Mind movement, which is the New Thought movement. And that movement was mystical entrepreneurs going back about 300 years. People that were seekers, that wanted to seek the truth. We have forefathers and foremothers of our movement that they said they want to know what the spiritual, mystical teachings, whether it's from the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Bible, whether it's from the Quran, whether it's from the Buddhist teachings, the Hindu teachings, wherever it comes from, the truth teachings, the capital T truth teachings, and these forefathers and mothers of our movement said they were not going to take no for an answer. They wanted to be the embodiment of what we proclaim in our community as to be a beneficial presence on the planet. To be a beneficial presence means just to be who you truly are. If you are who you truly are, you will experience bliss, you will live from radiance, you will have no challenges, you will allow yourself, and challenges, I want to make sure that we understand that Chad, and nothing's necessarily bad, but how you approach a challenge is going to determine how much you'll enjoy it. And we all know, it's pretty cliche, that we know that challenges are opportunities to grow. They can also sometimes show up as stagnation. They can show up as pain and suffering and struggle and strife. If any of that is happening, then that means there's resistance. There's resistance inside, resistance. When an energy is trying to go like this, it's trying to go in this direction, and I'm pushing against it, that's going to create pain. We know that pain as it shows up in your body temple. When there's a constriction in a blood vessel or an artery or something of that nature, the energy is not able to flow, so it creates a pain. The pain isn't there to torment us, it's just to let us know something's off, and we just want to bring the light of truth to it. So this is what the forefathers and foremothers of our movement, they wanted to understand what it meant to take these principles and these teachings and apply them to their everyday lives, into the practical, as it were. And so the Agape movement, and remembering Agape stand, it means in Greek unconditional love. And unconditional love, we can take it to know that that is the presence of God, the divine. Whether we call it the universe, or the creator, or Allah, or Jehovah, whether we call it Elohim or Adonai, whether we call it Yahweh, or the One. Whatever we call it, it is a bliss that has coded us with something. There's a divine inertia within us that is going to figure it all out so that we can experience nirvana, heaven on earth, not as a once in a while, not as a false positive, because sometimes we think we're experiencing nirvana when we're just really experiencing a temporal pleasure. A temporal pleasure that when it's gone, we get upset about it. But an eternal, nirvanic pleasure leaves you transformed. And so we're here to explore that. And we ask our community, we ask you to participate at whatever level in a joyous and beautiful way. The intention is always that we heal, we grow, and we expand in benevolent and beautiful ways. That intention came from my experience where when I first started to do sincere inner work, sincere, and the emphasis is on the word sincere, because sometimes people, they want to do the work, but they're not sincere about it. I just want this to go away. I just want this to stop. I just want to be prosperous, but I don't want to do the work. I'm not sincere. Sincerity with willingness to seek ye the kingdom of heaven, meaning seek the wisdom and the truth of God in no matter what it is. You might want to seek ye the kingdom of heaven of what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight, whatever it is. But we want to bring it forward because there's nothing too big or too small. Sometimes struggle, strife, pain, suffering raises a red flag, an alarm that allows us to, it's going to kind of, as Reverend Michael would say, push us by pain to a revelation that we can easily be pulled by the vision. So we want to allow ourselves to get into a groove where we can really behold and know that I am. That we understand some of as we're studying in our deepening our practice class, prayer and meditation, we're taking time to reflect, and we're using, Joel Goldsmith, he's one of the forefathers of our movement, and what we do is you take a concept, and in prayerful, reflective meditation, how does being born in the image and likeness of God, how does that apply to me? What does that mean? I want to know. All of the mystics, all of the avatars, all of the great ones took these ideas and they personalized them. They didn't personalize the aspects of their trauma body, which is what a lot of us do. People walking around saying things like, oh, my OCD, or oh, my ADD, or oh, my this, or oh, my that. Which, if you're doing that, stop. You might say, I'm releasing this so that I might grow in benevolent and glorious and beautiful ways. And again, I'm talking from experience. You've all heard my stories about when I used to suffer from severe panic attacks. So much so that I was going to the doctor on a regular basis, I could have got a frequent flyer card. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. And it got so bad, I remember one time I just went to the hospital, and after I had been to all the tests, and they said, and I was in my mid-20s at the time, but I was convinced all the panic attacks, the sharp pains, the chest pains, and all that stuff, it felt very real, but it was all in my emotional body. And, but it was my physical body was letting me know there's something going on in your emotional body, and the still small voice was trying to whisper in your ear to do something about it, but now we've got to get a little bit louder, we've got to clamor a little bit more. And so I went to the doctor, and so the one day I was walking, I was like, oh, I'm feeling it again. I know I just got all green lights, all systems go, but I'm like, what, maybe they were wrong. Maybe they got the test, the wrong results. Maybe they gave me the misinformation. So I just went to the hospital when I was feeling these pains, and I just walked the aisle, the halls for hours until I got to a place where I felt better and calm. And then I went home because I was at the point where I was like, if they hear me call one more time, they're just going to go, okay, we'll get you into a different kind of ward. And, so those are, it was very, I can make light of it now. Back then it was deep and it was troubling. The theme of our month is in the heat of the light. To really bring everything into the light and allow heat. We know in metaphysics that heat is actually a sign that transformation is taking place. Cold is usually a sign that stagnation. And if you just look at physics, where something cold, as it gets colder and colder and it freezes, it kind of solidifies. And as it gets warm, it starts to, it expands. And so we want to allow ourselves to begin to understand the language of God, the language of the universe, the language of the divine, synonymous with the language of truth. Now, the truth shall set you free. That's a nice, cube, maybe make a nice bumper sticker. People toss things around from time to time of biblical phrases or scriptural phrases. But what does it mean? What does that mean? We want to allow ourselves to go deeper into what that means. And so I just wanted to kind of bring up as the topic of today is our holy ulterior motive. I just want to reclaim and requalify some of our vocabulary. Most of us think of an ulterior motive as something that somebody's like, kind of like, ooh, I'm going to try to get something for nothing. I've got an ulterior motive. I'm going to do something malevolent or mischievous or something like that. I'm going to get you to love me or whatever it is. But an ulterior motive, ulterior just means not obvious. It's not obvious. And there's a divine ulterior motive that is trying to grab you every moment of every day and take you to wholeness, take you to the promised land, to remember that you are the chosen people. And another, sometimes people, they misunderstand scriptural passages from any of the sacred texts from around the world. The chosen people aren't a group of people that are chosen, nobody else. The chosen people are those who choose. They choose to be one with the divine. Those are the chosen people, so if you so choose, you are a chosen person. A chosen person does not take what's happening in the temporal. We don't take our instructions from the temporal. We don't go from horizontal imagining. We go to a vertical visioning, vertical imagination, which just simply means, of course, we know God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniamorous, everywhere. So really, no horizontal, no vertical, but just for sakes, when we're in the realm of duality, you have to speak with dualistic language just to describe the singular aspect of the divine, the absolute, the singular. So we move into that vertical consciousness, which means inspiration, revelation, allowing ourselves to be inspired about whatever it is. And it helps to understand the language of the divine. And there are signs everywhere. Some of you remember that movie Bruce Almighty from a couple decades ago, where he's like driving down the road, just give me a sign, and then all these signs are crashing and he's moaning, and it says turn here, do this, whatever, and they're all there, but he's just ignoring the signs, and he's just bemoaning in his misery of how horrible things are, which we do from time to time. We get lost. It's like somebody smeared Vaseline on our glasses, and we can't see clearly. So we want to allow ourselves to see clearly. We want to start by saying, you know what? I'm going to have a joyous, beautiful, brilliant spiritual practice that lifts me into the greatest and grandest vision and version of who I am ever. That would be an intention I'd love us all to share. It's what your soul is kind of, the still small voice is always whispering, going, let's go this way, let's go this way. And we want to make sure that, as the Rumi quote goes, and I hope I don't butcher it, but it's something along the lines that it is the rain that blossoms the flowers with the soft and subtle dropping, not the clap of the thunder, meaning that as we allow ourselves to be available to be filled with that thirst, that it's not going to be the loud clapping of what's going on in the temporal world, but allowing us to be still and capture the divine idea, capture that divine essence through our beingness. And again, circling back to understanding the language, there's been so much going on. Sometimes I hear people that are like, oh my God, it's so great to be alive, especially now. And then other people say like, oh my God, this is just one of the craziest times ever on the planet. And I bet if you go back every 100 years, you probably hear the same people saying the same thing. Or say, oh my God, it's incredible to be alive now. Or oh my God, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And because in the world of effects, we often hear the phrase, oh, infinite possibilities. Well, we want to just tune in and zero in on infinite benevolent possibilities, infinite holy possibilities, infinite divine possibilities, and infinite possibilities and potentials that my soul is seeking to express into the world. Infinite possibilities, now in the world of duality, that leaves us, that's just wide open for all kinds of crazy things to happen, many of which I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, you're not interested in. I'm sure that most of us aren't real interested in spirit. Maybe some. I did know a guy who was really into pain in terms of boxing and fighting, and one of those manly men who was always out there, and if he got a broken rib, it was like, ooh, and scars were like, whoa, and it was like badges of honor from all these painful things that happen to the body. So hey, you're into that, fine, go for it. But most of us, I'm assuming, you don't want to get a broken leg. I'm assuming you don't want to experience poverty to some horrible degree. And so we want to allow ourselves, and again, we want to be very mindful of the yin yang and the balance of not going, we don't want to go into a false positive. A false positive is where the world of effects lures us in, and things are good, and so we I've got a great house, and I've got a great spouse, and I've got a great job, and I've got all my needs met to a degree. I definitely was at a point in my life when I was in the corporate world, it was like, oh yeah, I had that little feeling like, ooh, house check, corporate ladder check, traveling around the world check, ooh. But we've all heard this cliche probably many times where some people go, but there was something missing. There was something missing, and what was missing was my devotion to my soul, my devotion to listening to the call of my soul. And so we want to set the intention that we don't want to go too far to the left or too far to the right. We want to find that sweet space which is directly in alignment with the divine, with God. And we want to start to apply it to our lives, setting those intentions. And in a moment, we're going to kind of do a reflection, as we did in class last before, where we start to explore. Now, one of the things that hampers the expansion of good in our lives is the not letting go of the trauma associated with the past. Now, we know in spirit there's no actual past, present, or future. There's the eternal, and the eternal is bliss, is joy, is beauty, is wonderful. But in time and space, in the illusion of time and space, and I know sometimes people are like, oh, this seems really real, but we all know if you've taken some physics classes or some metaphysics classes, but definitely in just basic physiology, we know that there are solids, liquids, gases, and that there are codes that tell them what to be, and those codes come from the divine. There's a divine plan that explains how everything comes into form. There's a code that tells us how this is going to be metal. There's a code that tells us how this is going to be fabric. And there's a code that tells your cells. Did you know that 99% of each cell is almost the same? There's one little mechanism in there that says, be a fingernail, be a kneecap bone, be an eye, be an organ. Science and biology is knowing that it is absolutely fascinating. So we want to become aware that we absolutely do have an influence on our lives, that we are the CEOs, the Chief Evolutionary Officers, and it is through free will and free choice that we choose our way back to wholeness. And so there's a passage in Scripture that says, do not worry of things, but through prayer, supplication, which means just to ask, and through thanksgiving, your requests will be fulfilled. So it's almost like our forefathers and mothers of our movement were involved, because through prayer, you move into a divine, so in prayer, in our affirmative prayer, we recognize God, we unify with God. We remember that we're one with the presence, we're not small little individuals outside, because how can you be outside the omnipresence of the divine? Then, through supplication or through asking, through inquiry, where you can say, show me how I bring wholeness to this body part, or show me what true prosperity is, or show me what this sacred, holy relationship looks like. So we ask through supplication, not the kind where, sometimes we've seen in the old movies where, please help me, oh my God, everything's going to hell, and save me. It's all right, you might get some mileage out of that. But if within that you have a belief that the universe isn't there for you, then the prayer is coded with something that's going to dampen it. So we just become aware of the spiritual technology of affirmative prayer, of meditation, communion with spirit, communion with your soul. And we remember, years ago, or actually no, recently, so this is where I want to kind of turn a little bit into the current, where we start to understand the language. So for me, as I started to heal from my anxiety attacks and panic attacks and all things of that nature, I started to become aware of, what is my body telling me? I had some worthiness issues coming up. So in order to be free of the past, we have to dissolve and transmute the energetic connections, because in the past, I made a choice that tethered me to the past. So I keep pulling the past forward into the present, and I even project it into the future. But we want to dissolve that energetic connection. So we do that through reflection, through contemplation. When we reflect, we go back, and we remember there is no space or time, so we can go back to earlier today, last week, last year. We can transmute the energy and dissolve, allow whether it's forgiveness, purification, or just recognizing the divine, so that we can be free and have true freedom in the present moment. So recently, somebody was talking to me about somebody that was talking to them. And this person was like, I'm out of California, I'm sick of all this. They were going on this negative rant about how they don't like, the governor this and the city's that and blah, blah, blah. And and they just needed to get out and get a fresh new start in a place that wasn't gonna, encumber them or inhibit them or whatever. So what they were really saying was, so then the conversation went to a place where it was like, well, is there anything wrong in your life? Well, no, I live in a great house, have a great family, prosperity's wonderful, things are really So this person didn't actually have anything wrong in their life, so to speak. But the idea that was infecting them from media, from gossip, from race-conscious ideas that people are circulating around, oh, these people do this and that people do that and blah, blah, blah. And the idea was raining on their parade. Nothing was actually happening in their life. There was no demonstration of misery or struggle in a tangible way, but there was in a mental/emotional way. And I was like, oh, so you're making a decision that's a reaction based on fear to make a move when you really want to do is, what are you really after? And it's like, if you sit down, what am I, I'm after cooperation. I'm after cohesion and peace. Now, many people, we run to get to peace. Sometimes we call it the monk on the mount syndrome, where some people they're so tired of everything getting triggered and having their buttons pushed that I'm going to go live on the mountaintop somewhere so I can keep all my issues all nice and tidy within me and nobody will bother them. Well, that's not the way the universe works. The universe knows you've got some issues and the universe is going to benevolently try to cleanse them out because your soul is guiding you to freedom and joy and nirvana. So it's going to happen no matter what. Now, there was another version of the monk on the mountain, and those are the people who have said yes to enlightenment. They've said yes to sincerity. And so what they're doing is holding vigil for the world. And to remember what holding a vigil means. To hold vigil is to hold an unbroken awareness of the consciousness of God, which means bliss, joy, peace. That's what it means to hold vigil, not to be there going to a rally that's holding vigil for whatever disaster has just happened in worry and panic and oh my God, they're horrible and we need to do this and we need to do that. Now, there's some room for that. And yes, my counsel would be, if I'm going to go to this demonstration, I want to go holding vigil in its truest, purest sense. I choose to know what it's like to be in a world where people are kind and generous, where we don't need guns or war, where we don't need these things. Now again, as you evolve, your life will evolve, and your world will evolve, and the world will evolve. And the way that Ernest Holmes, one of the forefathers of our movement, he says that divine intelligence evolves our mind exactly as we involve it. So if I want divine intelligence to evolve me, I have to involve it. You have to involve to evolve if you want to grow and expand in that goodness. So we're going to all say yes to that. Yes. Grow. So as I just come back to the person who was being a contagion or infection, spreading out energy of like panic and worry. And so the coronavirus, which is now, we're talking about the Delta variant. Well, if you listen to the language of God, the coronavirus, corona is crown. So it's asking us to open our crown to the divine so that we do not become infected by the temporal world. Delta. Now we've moved on, we're evolved to Delta variant. Well, what does Delta mean? Delta is in, when you're talking about the frequencies of the brain, that's when it slows down after theta. Theta is where most of us go in meditation. Delta slows down a little bit more. So the universe is telling us, slow down a little bit more. Allow yourself to awaken to not a detrimental variant that's out to get you, because we know there's no adversary in the divine. But what does it mean to know there's no adversary in the divine? There's no virus, there's no devil, there's nobody out to get you. But in the temporal world, sometimes, I have my Homer Simpson moments where I'm like, I get sucked into one of those race-conscious ideas that something's out to get me. I better move to a different state. I better get an alarm system and make sure I've got cameras everywhere because people are out to get me. No, that's not where we want to go. No, I'm not saying get rid of your cameras. I'm not saying be foolish. I'm saying take note at where you are and set a trajectory based on the call and the wisdom of your soul so that you are moving in an evolutionary pattern that involves the divine, the truth that sets us free. That's all I'm asking. So So our spiritual practice, as you've heard me say, as you've heard Reverend Michael say, and anybody in our movement, our spiritual practice is a practice until it becomes a way of life. We move from prayer as a practice to prayer as a way of living, where high conversation is taking place. And so instead of me going, oh my God, this is happening and that is happening, and oh my God, I'm just going to stay home for the rest of my life, and I'm going to keep all my issues all packed up inside of me. And no, we want to say, how am I going to embody the truth, teachings, and the principles espoused by all the masters that have walked the planet? So sometimes we call that Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, enlightenment, self-realization. That's what you're all going to do. It's all going to happen for everybody. You're all chosen, even if you don't know you're chosen. You're just going to choose to be chosen. And so we're going to rise into this. We're just going to go ahead and participate. We're going to participate in that. We're going to get involved, and we're going to go beyond what is obvious. We're going to go to the divine ulterior motive, beyond what is obvious in the temporal world, which means we sit and we be still and know that I am. And we contemplate even that. So we're going to move into our prayer, and I'm going to invite you to join me as we bring a contemplative idea. What does it mean for you, uniquely you, to be still and know that I am? The real, truest, purest, holiest meaning of that phrase. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tune in. We're just going to take a moment and move into the prayer field, which is omnipresent. For God is omnipresent everywhere, in all dimensions of all incarnations, in every cell, in every bone, in every tissue of your body temple, in your emotional body. The presence, the omniamorous presence of God is right now to go deeper than we've ever gone before, to rise higher than we've ever gone before in our human evolution. For we know the soul is already evolved. It is already whole. It has never experienced struggle or strife. It has never experienced pain, for it is one with the divine. We choose right now to know what it means to be still and know that I am. For we are one with the Holy Presence. We are one with the Holy Presence, and we choose to know and grow and glow in the omnipresence and the omniactivity of God. We choose to know the energy of the soul beyond our name, gender, beyond our situations, circumstances. We choose to relinquish any worries, doubts, or fears, knowing that it says, do not worry over things, but in prayer and supplication and thanksgiving, your requests shall be fulfilled, which is simply to steep and step into a greater and grander idea of the energy and the presence of your own soul, your own Christ consciousness, your own Buddha consciousness, Patricia consciousness, Christ in Patricia, Christ in Birgit, Christ in Lisa, the Christ consciousness in Jerome and Brian, the Christ consciousness in Angelina, the Christ consciousness in Andrea, the Christ consciousness in all of us. We all say yes to that Christ consciousness, not outside of us, it is within us. We choose to know what that means, what it feels like, what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like to be in the world, but not of the world. Which means we anchor the eternal. We anchor the eternal in space and time. We allow ourselves to move deeper into a greater and grander idea that is so sincere. And we know the byproduct is joy. The byproduct is optimism. The byproducts are wellness and goodness and prosperity that absolutely meets us right where we're at. All needs met. Infinite benevolent supply beyond finances. Infinite benevolent goodness. We move into that space and we say, show me what it's like. We move into supplication. We ask and we allow our requests to be fulfilled. For each of us has every talent, every gift, everything we need, already coded and loaded within our cells, bones, and tissues in our psyche. We choose to know what it means. I am as thou art as I am. What does that for me, that I personalize it, that I experience heaven on earth, to, through, and as me. We bring that holy presence, the energy of our soul, the wisdom, we bring it, and if there's any challenge, if there's anything going on financially or physically or in a relationship that requires transmutation, transformation, or illumination, we say, show me. Show me the truth, the absolute truth, not my truth, not temporal truth. Show me the truth, capital T truth, that sets me free, that allows me to enjoy sacred, holy relationships with everyone all the time.
Yes.
Oh, how good it is to know this is our destiny. We share this destiny, each and every one of us. We share the divine destiny of realization, of absolute self-revelation, of holy divine awareness. It is inevitable. We just choose today to allow it in benevolent and beautiful ways, even more, even better than ever before. And it is from a place of deep and abiding thanksgiving, a deep and abiding gratitude to know that it is God's good pleasure to bring forward the kingdom of heaven as we surrender to it. We let it be good, we let it be now. We let it be so, we ground it sincerely, we accept it in a space of divine receptivity. Humbly, brilliantly, beautifully. We accept it so, we ground it so, we allow it to be so, and so we let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
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 Amen. Ashe. Aho. Mahalo. Shalom. Hotep. And hallelujah. Online. I got good word that it's streaming rather well. So answered prayers, we're grateful for that. Grateful to know that it's time to prepare for our offering. And again, you know, as we move into tithing, we remember spiritual communities, all spiritual communities are set up in a way, you know, if you look at whether it's a church, a mosque, a Buddhist temple, a Jewish temple, whether it's a spiritual community such as ourselves, which we are a 501c3, so it is tax deductible. But every one of them is set up in a way that people get to participate through tithing, which is the law of circulation. And tithing is at its highest vibration. When I know that it's not my money I'm circulating, it's God's money. And it's an energy. It's not even money necessarily, it's an energy. And if you really want to know what the sacred spiral stands for in sacred geometry, the spiral starts tight and it starts to unwind and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because it's circulating and expanding, it's good. So if you want to get in on it, you're going to put that in there, let it circle and cycle, expand, it's good for you. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and have the ushers go forward as Lacey brings on some more beautiful angelic energy. Thank you, ushers.
Things he couldn't change. He tried his best to play it cool, but in the 7th grade, you either fit right in or you don't fit. That's just the cold hard truth. I wish I could have been my friend, but Billy never knew. I think it's time we come together. You and I can make a change. Maybe we can make a difference, make the world a better place. Look around and love somebody. We've been hateful long enough. Let the good God reunite us to this country that we love, undivided. Either go to church or you're gonna go to hell. Get a job at work or you're gonna go to jail. I just kinda wish we didn't think like that. Why's it gotta be a white or all black? When we gonna learn to try on somebody's shoes sometimes? When we gonna start to see from someone else's eyes? I think it's time to come together. You and I can make a change. Maybe we can make a difference, make the world a better Come out and love somebody. We've been hateful long enough. Let the good God reunite us to this country that we love undivided. Oh yeah, undivided. Oh, undivided. Oh yeah, undivided. Yeah, yeah.
Undivided within our own beingness, we start to understand what it means to be a house united, which is undivided. So yes, nailed it, rocked it, thank you. And Caroline and Jeff, thank you so much. You're like the poster of like the best couple. I've known you for a while, it was at the wedding. Is it been? How long are you? 3 years? 19th? Okay, well, happy anniversary. Okay, all right, so we passed it. Okay, well, yay. Well, I can confirm, glory to greater glory. We're going up even deeper and higher. Awesome. Oh, another positive happy birthday. All right, we're going to go ahead and do what we do, which is move back into the prayer field. We're just going to get into the prayer field, and sometimes we feel like we're coming out, but we're just going to go in there, we're just going to stay there. All right, we're going to go ahead and we extend our heart and our prayers to our hands. That's why we outstretch our hands. We outstretch our blessings, and we give thanks for all of the tithing, knowing that the promise in the promissory note says yes. It says right in the currency, in God we trust. So we trust and know that as a collective community, Soul Center, all needs met. All needs met for all programs, for our building, for everything. We say yes. We say yes, and we give thanks knowing it is already done in the mind of God. We give thanks knowing individually that as we participate and trust and have faith in the optimism of knowing that we are one with the infinite supply of all good, that we say yes to true prosperity. We know that prosperity is not only financial freedom, it's not only wellness, it is joy and peace and bliss in every area, sacred holy relationships. This is prosperity. We say yes to this, we say yes individually and collectively. We give thanks for this and so much more good. We let it be now, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, ushers. And now the children are going to come in.
We had quite the energetic bunch today. I don't know if you all are as energetic as these kids are, but you have their energy. You're set. We did a little bit of replay today and went outside and found happiness in nature. So we have a little poem to share from the book Joe has learned.
Outside is the place to be. Hike through hills, climb up the trees. Collect seashells out by the sea. Enjoy fresh air and feel the breeze.
And we all have a few ways to share that you can find happiness outside, right? You want to start us off, Jace? Sure.
Seashell. Search for seashells along the seashore. Put them in a jar and set them on your dresser.
Climb up a tree. Take a look and read while sitting up on your favorite trick or treat. Make a fort. Bring out some towels and blankets. Make your perfect hideaway. Oh yes. Go on a bike ride. Grab your friends and take a ride on a scenic trail.
That's only happening.
Peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, amongst all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song aloud. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
Oh, so we continue in the ceaseless field of prayer, the ceaseless field of infinite good, that which we call God, which is life, which is goodness, which is bliss, which is peace and beauty and joy. How wonderful it is to know that something wonderful is taking place. And we have all sent us to a greater and grander experience of good, sincerely embracing the divine idea of our lives. We say yes to the still small voice of the soul. We say yes to the goodness. We say yes and we carry it forward. Spreading blessings, being only infectious with